All right, I'd like to call to order the November 19, 2025 meeting of the Lower South Township Board of Supervisors and ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That brings us to our public comment item on the agenda. Is there anyone wishing to be recognized? Welcome. All right, moving right along, I'll take an approval, motion to approve the work session meeting minutes of October 15th and November 5, pending any. So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second. Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Public Works Director, Mr. Jones.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Update on some projects, Burgess Middle Road Bridge, HEK is moving full steam ahead. Last week, Joe and I had a lengthy phone call with Jesse King, who's the Director of Assets and Infrastructure with Montgomery County. Just kind of expressing our concerns about the lack of communication and the cooperation that, or lack of cooperation that we're getting with some of our concerns and kind of the whole process. So, the end of the discussion, we were asked to postpone our work until they're completed. So we obliged, just to stay out of their way. And there is a ribbon cutting ceremony planned for Tuesday, next Tuesday at 11 a.m.
I did get a call that may be canceled. So I will be reaching out to the county today to confirm if there is going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony.
They still have a significant amount of work.
Still premature.
I think so.
Yeah, they were pushing, and I'm sure there was some kind of financial incentive somewhere to meet the Thanksgiving deadline, but it doesn't. I mean, I was down there this morning early, and it's a disaster zone.
More wishful thinking than reality.
Yes.
I drove by this week. I was curious if the county was.
Yeah.
So that's update on that project. The new public works facility, unfortunately, haven't had a whole lot of time to spend on that and looking at the concept plan and seeing if there are other opportunities for it to make it work, make it better. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll revisit that and then try and move that forward. Main Street sidewalk project, Marino adjusted the curb in front of Racus property to correct the pavement slope concerns, and then we've also repaved that area. So the utility relocations to be the last item on the wish list that needs to be done so they can finish that segment of the sidewalk in front of the dentist office.
A whole bunch of Pico guys out there this past weekend. I don't know if one of them got done.
Everybody's waiting for Pico because all the other utilities follow behind.
Yeah, they were in force over the weekend.
I know there was an issue with the cut wire for the dentist office, and they lost a day of work. Apparently it happened sometime between Friday afternoon and 4 o'clock and Monday morning at 8 a.m. They didn't have full power. They lost one of the phases of power. So it was rectified quickly by Pico, and everybody was made aware of the issue. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the status of that is, but they're working on it. We were notified by DEP that they will be doing a routine MS4 inspection coming up in January to evaluate our program for compliance. We want to discuss our progress in implementing our program, talk to staff, visit Public Works, just to see how we're doing. From what I understand, this is something that's happening across the region. And the focus is on Public Works, just good housekeeping practices, where we have, where things go, we have 4 drains in the shop, and if we do, where do they go? Storm drains, salt building areas, those kinds of, our fuel dispensing areas, those kinds of things. They're looking to make sure that we're in compliance or we're doing the best that we can. So,
Is Michelle gonna be involved in that? She handles our permitting, right?
Mary Stover is going to be
Somebody-
involved in that, yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, and I spoke with Mary yesterday. We're gonna schedule in early December, we're gonna schedule a meeting with all the staff and have her come and do a walkthrough and, just kind of a preliminary inspection so that we can see if there's opportunities for us to do some things before the inspection to make us, shine a better light on us if there's an opportunity to do so. So that's scheduled for the 21st of January, that inspection. The PennDOT Winter Services Agreement, I finally got a response from PennDOT this morning about the terms of the agreement, and the response I got was
No.
tough. The email focused more on the snow lane mile rates. That they said, they're adequate, and if there were changes to the rates, then essentially they would offer those rates to everyone that has an agreement within the district. And we've talked that, it's not necessarily the rates that are the concern, it's the term of the agreement, it's the annual increase of the percentage increase of the agreement, and it's also how they calculate the snow lane miles.
Right.
So at this point, I don't know what option we have, but what I would recommend is at some point in the near future, maybe it's next summer or the year after, just is try to get all the municipalities together and say, what are your feelings on this? Is this something that we want to at least have a sit down with central office and say, look, this is, you want us to be a partner, but these are dictated terms. We have no say in the terms of the agreement. So partnership is a little bit of give and take, and we don't feel we're getting that. So
So I only suggest if you can do a summary of the 5 main points, whatever that is you're gonna wanna get and how much it is. And ask a couple of the legislators who are representing those municipalities that are participating to be the ones to request the meeting with PennDOT.
Okay.
So that there is an understanding that the local representatives are also doing it, at least in my experience, other things I've done. Those meetings tend to get a little more attention from people beyond the immediate, and it may help to have a few more eyeballs and people who can maybe make some of those choices in the room.
yeah, because I think there would absolutely be a reluctance for central office even to agree to a meeting since we have agreements already in place. Right, wouldn't they?
Right.
So we need something to kind of force the issue.
And get it ahead of when the renewal period will end, so they can have that being negotiated before they start sending those out.
Because by the time they get them out to the intentions,
Maybe.
if they don't know how
Yeah.
the Jones here, they sign them right away. I appreciate all your work on this.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we at least got 4 years instead of 5.
Well, we didn't get the 4 years,
Oh,
but
yeah,
that's- but again, I think that becomes a moot point if we're able to bring everybody together and try to negotiate something different moving forward. And then they would just terminate everyone's agreement, and then even if it is still a staggered plan with some municipalities on 1 year, the rest in the following year, but at least we'd have a better idea, or I think a better agreement moving forward for everyone. Just some department activities, replaced the rod and corrugated metal pipe on Yoder and Freed roads. It was about 500 feet of pipe that we replaced. We're almost finished installing new fountain, bottle filler, and dog bowl at Reed Park. We aerated, top dressed, and seeded the fields at Park Avenue. Continue their progress. Continue with our sign replacement program, installing snowplow markers, and we're getting ready for winter operations, and also pump spreaders, and tested everything to make sure that, in a moment's notice, we can respond. Last thing on the agenda for me is a request for authorization to advertise for bid the new wheel loader mounted snowplow. This is part of my 2026 budget proposal, and will be part of the budget that's going to be adopted. The thought is that if we can advertise this and have a bid opening on December 3rd for approval at your December regular meeting, then with a 4-week lead time, we'd have it in early January and have it for the majority of the snow season for this season. So like authorization.
Sure, I make a motion to authorize the advertisement of the 2025 wheel loader mounted snowplow with the provision that is subject to the actual approval of the budget, so that if we can make sure that those are organized appropriately on the December agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. That's all I have. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Jones?
How's the Quarry Road project coming? Are they finishing that up?
I haven't gotten an update, from them recently.
Yeah.
But the last I heard was they were looking at the spring of,
No, it's not gonna be Christmas now.
Spring.
I thought it was Christmas.
I think that's what
I
they're.
know Mary Beth will be happy to hear that because the road's quiet. I was hoping Santa would be able to come right down the street there though, so.
But no, I think they ran behind schedule with some of the drilling. They had to bring in a second drill rig to try and catch up, and I still don't think they caught up to what they needed to be, so I think they're still looking at a spring completion.
Very good. Anything else? Moving right along. Chief?
Yes, sir. Last night we had our biannual EOC drill. With the township volunteers, we had a very good showing of volunteers. I would say, right? And over the years, very little turnover. But with Claude's passing and Greg McNeil's passing, so we lost about 5 people. We have been rotating additional officers through training for this to at least be familiar with the process. In a true emergency, you're probably bringing everybody in for a briefing, sending half of them home, and working 12-hour shifts. So we're going to need like 20, whatever the number is that's going to run for whatever particular emergency it is. You need twice as many people to do that for days, hopefully not weeks. But we had a FEMA and PEMA evaluators, and they were impressed with what they saw. We educated them a little bit on the process. So all good.
Yeah.
On the hiring end, applications are still low, about 14, 15-ish. Deadline is next week. We put out refreshed announcements every week on social media. We'll do that again this week, and we'll reassess probably next week whether it's easy to push the deadline back with everywhere we advertise. So we'll, when we get 5 to 10 quality applications, we'll do a first round of interviews, and then just hopefully get more. If it goes into the or beyond the holidays, whatever it is, we don't settle. We'll just build the best candidate. Corey did a traffic has most of the traffic study done on Oak and Moyer. Can bring up the speed on that.
As a follow-up to the conversation from last week regarding the sidewalks going in at Oak and Moyer and the possibility of having that become a 4-way stop sign, we did do some traffic studies. As far as traffic coming from Maple Avenue towards Main Street, that study was run. I had data here from November 10th to November 14th. We're averaging about 3,000 cars a day through that intersection. Eastbound, correct. And the 85th percentile on speed is 41 miles an hour. Posted speed limit is 35, and the average speed is 37. So we are waiting. Equipment's out there now for the westbound study, and the crash data is still in progress.
Sounds good.
Which direction do most of the accidents happen? They're coming eastbound on Oak, or is it people pulling out from Moyer?
At this point, I don't have an answer for that. That's all part of the crash study.
Yeah, just curious.
As far as determining causation of each crash.
Right, right. Huh.
We've had some where they're just not stopping for the stop signs.
Really?
Yeah, and there's a bit of a sight distance going south on Moyer to cross you're looking right, and that's why we wanted the eastbound numbers first. But, they're not that high. We have to do it longer. What would the industry standard be, 10-day to include a weekend or?
Or the least you would do is 7-day through a weekend. But it doesn't, I mean, we should look at it, but based on what you're telling me right now, I'm not giving it high hopes.
Right.
The volumes are still low enough that a two-way stop is probably gonna be okay, unless the crash data speaks it.
Right. And we'll try to take a deeper dive on each crash to see if there's an apparent primary cause.
Right.
And whether it's the sight distance looking to the west at the eastbound.
Or failure to obey a stop sign,
I'm sorry?
or failure to obey a properly posted stop sign.
Yeah,
Stop signs are optional today.
Even if they have to wait, ring around. They're optional.
Yeah,
Right.
I think the other thing comes out of their safety enhancement, if that does tend to be an issue, you can flag the stop sign or something like that, just to bring attention to.
Or stop sign aheads, although you can see them for.
You can see it,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah, it's not
important
like
just
they're-
the, blinker right there.
Yeah.
So,
that's all we had.
All right, any other questions for the chief? All right, very good, moving right along. Mr. Buki, building and zoning.
Chairman, so far this month, we have issued 24 permits, which is not a lot, as we know. Actually, in comparison to last year, we're down maybe 100, probably about 100 compared to last year. Historically, before COVID, for 2020, we were around 500 to 600 permits. And after COVID, the permit number went up quite substantially into the 7 and even into the 800s. And so far, our year total is in 600. I think we're down on that building. So, as an update, zoning hearing board occurred on the 13th, and both applicants received their requested waivers. And 34 Morris Road was a variance. 34 Morris Road was a special exception to allow for an expansion of the existing non-conforming use. So they received that, and they received the variance to go above the allowable 5%. And the township received their variance request with regard to the accessory setbacks of the proposed property. So further on this property. We continue to look into the minor land development and exemption ordinance that we started about a year and a half ago. We've been seeing a lot of, through the years, a lot of waivers of land development. And looking into those a little bit further, we actually even discussed several times with the planning commission. The planning commission has their recommendations. But what we're finding is that what we found is that, first of all, with the waiver of land development, it's actually not necessarily named correctly because it's not waiving anything. Because we still need to go through the whole approval process and the meetings and recording the plans and agreements. We're just doing everything, and nothing is necessarily waived from a code perspective other than the preliminary final development, which is a typical waiver that's requested, as we know, with great development. So we wanted to take a closer look at it to see whether or not the board wanted to move forward with an easier for those projects, or an easier process for the projects that are relatively small building addition, or a pavilion, for example. Arbor Square did a pavilion in one of their courtyards and had to go through the waiver process. And looking at projects like that, Maryland's for the Southford Mennonite Church had to go through the same process where they're in front of the front for recording plan, but no building. It was just areas and some sidewalk area. So I'm in a process of putting together a memo for the board to summarize what the planning commission recommendations were and staff recommendations to see if we can hone in on what the board would like to see moving forward, because we have a drawer full of waivers of land development. So the notion is it appears as if there's some bringing that and the less strict process is desired for some.
You know, if I could rephrase your comment, I don't think it's any less strict with regards to the compliance with our standards. It would be a less onerous process for the applicants in some cases.
Yeah, I think that's better put, because it's not that the ordinances won't be effective and won't be administered, it's just that the process, maybe the application fee might not be as onerous as full length development projects.
I think I think there are definitely some language to distinguish what a little, what is big, rather than say, oh, that's a little one, that's big, obviously that's not. But there needs to be something set stone there.
Yeah, the definition section, that's a small part, because we've seen them, we don't need to totally burden churches and small business owners and people on that line.
But even with that, so like Advent Church is one of, you didn't say something, that one I can go to, there's a pavilion that they have. Since Southford, even though they are doing that, they are putting in a pavilion, their bathrooms and stuff like that, so that is something that should be alerted to, okay, let's look at this, but we have to decide, okay, what is being, what is what. Obviously, it's not as much damage to neighboring properties and else things, and it's a smaller shed. I think that really has to be.
So I'll have thresholds for you to review at the next board meeting. So the next work session. Appreciate it.
And this was fleshed out at the planning commission level too, right?
It has, it
Okay.
doesn't, I can go through the comparisons with what they recommended, what was originally recommended. That we move forward with based on what we've already seen with later developments that have gone through.
Okay.
So you'll be all.
Good.
The upcoming planning commission meeting, again, it's the joint meeting, so we don't have a planning commission meeting. This in November, we have one in December, for the November, December joint meeting, that's on December the 10th. And what we will be looking at that meeting is the 379, just minor subdivision. Since they went through the hearing board, got the granted, the variance granted, now it's the subdivision process that is going to go through. All the 488 Harleyville pipe was resubmitted. Okay, so that would be on the planning commission. Well, we're going to continue to discuss the stormwater management ordinance with Michelle Houghton. And there is a presentation regarding the county comprehensive plan, so that will also occur. Then we'll be choosing the dates for the joint meetings in 6. So they can be advertised on. I agree. And that's all.
Sounds good. Any questions, comments for Michael?
I got a few of these. Sidewalk 30 minutes, we talked about before, is the Foxton's future, Popeye's RV here. Literally in the back, you got 4 inches for the entrance. There's no accessibility, wheelchair, even if it wasn't completed when they were not done. But I think as you're working on it, like you were making sure that they're aware of that. And I'll specifically talk about the sidewalk connection to the back of both properties. And literally, like I put my foot up, it's about this tall.
On American Way?
Yes, American Way, right along the side, both of them back there. The other thing I wanted to ask is, I wanted to bring this up with the rest of the board. First of all, I'm noticing bike lanes. I think they're great. I think they seem utilized pretty well. But one thing I want to bring up is up on Culp Road, where we talked about the other side of Culp, Stangate. We don't have a bike lane there, but we know for sure. I know Mr. Leo recently talked to me about it again. One neighbor there wants to have a sidewalk. Why not just put a bike lane out there? That's thought. It's just food for thought to talk out there. Put a bike lane. I know Michelle said that we wouldn't have one on one side of the road and the other. Yeah, literally all up on Maple from Town all the way to the school. There's one side of it. And for me, it looks like it's moving pretty fine. Franconia residents want it, but I do see people up there. And again, I know we've done studies, but there's plenty of sidewalk. I just would want to throw out there, suggest a bike lane up there, save a lot of money. I just want to show right. So. That's all
I like that concept of putting a bike lane in there.
Yeah, and it wasn't something I brought up before, kind of see how it worked, but I personally.
I mean, people are there.
Yeah, and people do use it. I mean,
I'm one of those people.
If you go to, I think it's Google Street View, you see the people in the picture.
Yeah.
So, yes, they're there. There's no doubt about that.
But
The real question is, the white shoulder is already striped.
Yes.
Do you need to do anything else?
That's
People
what
are
I'm
using
thinking.
it. It's,
You've got it
because if you
available.
designate it for a bike lane, I agree with you. I'd love to see it done that way. And it doesn't meet the standards, you run into some issues, and that's our only
Right,
question on that.
you're gonna
Yeah.
be signing a very short section of bike lane and it
Yeah.
just, I think it's gonna introduce some headaches we may not want.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Maybe
the
some signage. right
trail
back
and
there or something.
sidewalk committee ought to. take a
Yeah,
hard
that's
look
what I
at
think.
all.
I think
We're both look at that.
Looking at.
It's not that, I just express my interest with the, my thoughts on the sign. It seems
Yeah.
like-
Well, no, that's what
If
it is.
Tony wants to contribute, like I said, I'll contribute to the fire at the end.
Good point.
That is good.
Anything else? Very good. Moving right along, Mr. Lukowski, if we could possibly move number 4 to the top before my
Yes.
partner here to the right.
Yeah, and I'll just make a motion to amend the agenda to move the memorandum of understanding to number 1.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Sorry, guys, I just have to leave. I just want to make sure I discuss it. This is something we've been talking about, memorandum of understanding, volunteer fire company financial contribution. In an effort to try to stabilize a funding stream for the fire company to make sure they can make their appropriate capital plans, replacement of ladder trucks and bigger pieces of equipment. What we had come up with was the idea, it's in the budget, you've all seen that, of putting $100,000 a year aside from the money that's brought in from the fire tax into a capital fund that we hold on to, but then builds up over time so that when, we've already identified the next truck that's coming in a couple of years, the money will be there to help pay for it. I think the fire company is looking for some assurance that that is going to be the ongoing, they're doing it because they're making financial commitments that have very long lead times. When they have to order the truck, they have to order the chassis, they have to order the body. So this was a format that we had come up with to say, hey, let's put something together that both of us are on the same page with. There's provisions and other things, but at least there's an intent identified other than just the budget allocation each year. So that's the nature of what the memorandum of understanding came up from. And I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't think we get too locked in. If the fire company ceases to provide us with protection services, it goes away. They don't give anybody the money. So I think we've got all the outs we need to have.
And we're holding the money. So.
Yeah.
I said one comment, which actually, what you were saying, the one thing in section 2, the only thing is the lack of clarity with the funding. It says that we give the funding, but we reserve the right not to provide less than the full amount. If we don't have the funding available, I think, because the fire company does rely on that, maybe there should be some kind of backup plan or some kind of notice that we can give as much notice as possible, if that ever is the case. Clearly, I see that for the future for a long time. However, I know that because the fire company does lead to that, I wouldn't want any financial uncertainty, thinking, what if they don't get it this year? Just make sure we kind of say, we will give it as much as possible.
And that was one of the things I had thought about.
We have that fall.
We have to fall back, but I think under 4, term of the MOU, we have a 30-day written notice provision. I think that might be something we need to make longer, Andy, only because if they have contracts they're putting out, we can't just say 30 days from now, we're not gonna fund you, and then they've already got a contract for $1 million. I think that if we could maybe do like a 6-month notice, because that knows our budget cycle would work out that way with that. If we had a reason to change this, to give them a 6-month notice. Okay.
Does that work with the township's, budget schedule?
Yeah, because we know a year in advance.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that would give them, yeah.
And that was my case, I get we need the out, but I think that's a good spend the time, because they, obviously there was something we're gonna have down the line.
We're gonna leave them on
That's
the
why
hook.
financial security, what we're budgeting for this, now we want that. As long as that's working, there's some backup.
I'm fine with the agreement. I'm fine with the amendment.
I like those.
So it'll be on the December agenda then?
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Good. All right, good. You're up, Joe.
I will turn the next 2 items, the resolution 2025-36, authorizing a grant application for local share account from the Commonwealth Financing Authority, over to Grace, and she can explain what the 26 or 36 resolution 36 is.
Sure. As the LFA grant applications are coming up towards the end of the month, we needed a new updated cost estimate for the police impound garage and the carport. The increase in that estimate was around $800,000 due to added contingency as well as the construction management manager costs because they were previously associated with the community center and public works projects, which have now been put on the back burner, so those costs needed to go somewhere. So that's why you see that increase. However, the 2024 award announcements for the LSA have not yet been made as we had hoped. So we do need to select which grant applications we would like to move forward with. We are allowed 2 for this program, and one of them will certainly be the Freedom Valley Medical Rescue improvements. So now we are able to choose between the LSA, the police impound garage or the ADA Alderfer Park improvements. So that's what I have there, and
were we able to reach out to the state and find out if there was going to be any word on the 24 applications?
I spoke with Michael Shore at DCEP, and he was able to tell me that possibly at a December meeting that they would make announcements, but there was no intention to move back the current application deadline. So we would kind of have to make a decision based on what we think would be.
So the first decision would be to approve, if we want to do the renovations, with the application for the Freedom Valley, that would be the first resolution. The second resolution we have to do, because we already submitted, because, and we're just upping the costs.
Correct.
So the decision would be whether we do 2025-36 for Freedom Valley or for Alderfer Park. Is that what I'm understanding?
It would be between Alderfer Park or the police and health.
Okay, but that's not on our agenda right now.
Correct, that resolution has been signed. Last
You-
month.
It was signed last month.
Okay.
So
we're authorizing
the
this.
amendment to the one you
Yeah.
did last month for the police impound.
I'm a simple man. Where does the
I'm
Alderfer Park
confused,
come into
yeah.
play at this point?
Yeah.
Well, we have to, the board has to make a decision on which one, either going to be the impound garage or the park playground. Do we submit for 2025? Because they didn't make the announcements for 2024, so those 2 items are in there.
Right.
Now we have an application that the ambulance, the Freedom Valley would like us to put in for them. We can only put in 2 applications,
Right.
so I guess the question is, do we,
But we could still get the impoundment one under the 24 grant?
both of them, both the impoundment and the playground are in the 24, correct?
The playground was under the DCNR Park Rehabilitation and Development Program, so it's not under the LSA grant, but that both of those award announcements are behind schedule,
Yeah.
which is the issue where we could be awarded the 2024 LSA DCNR and DCNR grant for both the playground and the impound garage, but then if those are awarded in full, we would we would kind of miss out on that application. Sorry for the lack of being able to explain this. I don't want to miss out on the chance to apply for a grant. And then it be funded by a previous round. Now our 2025 round.
Right.
Is to waste.
So
if we find out, let's hypothetically find out, we do have approval for the ADA and we decide to go that way, we then cannot backtrack and say, well, since we got approved for this, let's quick put in the impound. We have to make that decision now.
Well, because the deadline for the application is November 30th. So
We can act on the first one.
you can act on the first
All right,
one.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve resolution 2025-36 for the grant application for the Freedom Valley Medical Rescue Station facilities.
Second.
In the amount of $1 million.
Right.
Move to second and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
While I learned all about the impound lots and all that too, I'm okay seeing that in the future opportunity. I personally would rather see the ADA,
I think the ADA has a better chance of winning in 24.
And it might,
I do
that's
too.
where I am,
If-
like,
if-
that's why I
if-
see that might win because you did a great job, everybody did a great job.
So,
Yeah,
If it
so
comes to
I
the
hate
funds,
to
if
not
they,
let
if
this
they
out.
cancel all of them, then we're lost, right? I mean, we'll be submitting again in the future.
Correct.
I'd rather be doubly safe on the ADA park.
I don't disagree with you.
Sorry, guys.
We'll get you, we're gonna get
We'll
you.
get you the impound.
I see, I tried to pass half units up, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a huge benefit.
Highlights as well, but.
Particularly in its location to the school. I just think there's great public benefit
That is a
there.
very central hub park that a lot of people can walk to and whatnot, so.
And not just walk to, but as we discussed last time, I learned so much just in the application process from other people that people outside of this township, there's not many places to go.
Thanks.
In our county, and they can't make it.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you. With the impound lots of, I disagree with what they did here, but just got curiosity, do we have any solar panels or anything on top of them? Would that help with the grant application in the future, maybe applicants in there, just watching them build traffic, but I was driving by it, thinking about that, I don't think half of the past. Wouldn't have a true
I
chance.
think Hatfield does have,
Do they have solar panels?
they have solar panels
I
on
wasn't sure if
their,
that was like on
on
their
the parking,
when I drove by. Can't see it.
covered parking. I just saw some photos of it.
Yeah, I saw, I didn't see if they put them up there or not, but I was curious if that would be something, just I was driving by thinking if it would help the grant, any.
Would increase the price.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna get that grant, 2024.
What's that?
I don't know, please. I think we're gonna get the 2024 grant for that.
For the
ADA.
park?
I was looking to, that's why.
I just think it-
Missed
yeah.
out on both, but
We're gonna miss out on it. Miss out on that.
Well, you can always vote to revise the resolution. We just need to, I mean, if there's some way we can find out.
Do they have any plan on the announcement? They'll announce the grants that you said.
Day after.
That May,
Day after-
December.
Day after it's due. Yeah,
Right.
of course.
It was supposed to be maybe last Tuesday,
Yeah.
so
I thought,
it didn't end up.
But still, they didn't move any of the other, I mean, so you're kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place here because they didn't make the announcements for this year. So do we need to put in for next year? But they're not changing the deadline
For any of it.
for any of this. So there's no way of knowing at this point.
I guess, that shows how fortunate we are to have the good staff put together grants, many townships really have that. one
Well,
grant
but you end up missing out on an opportunity because,
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
the budget was up in the air for 3 months or 4 months and, pushed everything back. And now there's no possibility of knowing that, okay, we missed that grant, but we'll submit it again
Right.
now, or we got the grant, so we'll submit the other one
Right.
now. It just, it would be nice if they gave us a little leeway. Like move the application status of the LSA to the end of the year as opposed to the end of November.
Mhm.
That's not the case. So you still could move forward with revising that, and if we find out if there's any word, if we get any indication that, we'll say the ADA, grant is going to come through, then we can submit the applications for impound garage.
All right, so I'll take a motion to approve resolution 2025-33.
I'll make the motion.
Now, is that for security?
That's revising the resolution. Yeah.
Move to second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Okay, the final item under the manager's report is the expiring appointment announcements. I believe that just about all of the people have responded.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so. I believe the only two we haven't heard from is for fire marshal, for assistant fire marshal positions, deputy fire marshal positions for Don Lynch and Ryan Nace. I'm assuming that they're going to be yeses, but, we just haven't heard yet, but I'm sure we'll know by the end of the week.
Good.
And that's all I have for, manager's report.
I'd like a quick rewind for a second.
Sure.
So the current barn next door, are you utilizing that at all currently? As any part of your process?
It is.
It is
Yes,
being
no,
used.
that's another location where we would store, large items, vehicles. Once we lose that, we're gonna be short a.
Just want to make sure that's clear to everybody.
Yeah, it's good.
Or timing of these projects is gonna have to think somehow.
Yeah.
All right,
Or something off, right? We did have a lot line change, but we can
so
keep
we're
it,
working on that without through land development yet.
right, we can still keep it until we.
Yeah, we're not-
Sell it
we're
off.
under no obligation to sell.
Right, okay, so
Right.
that's fine.
Creating,
Yeah.
creating the last.
At least we can keep it
in the
until
future.
something else happens here, so.
Whatever we want to do.
I just wanna make sure.
Right now, we're gonna
jump
sit
the
on
gun,
it.
That's all.
Yeah.
So we have to have
Oh,
extra
crap.
space for storage.
All right, so very good. Is there a need for executive session this morning
There is, Mr. Chairman, for item of real estate,
with no intent to return?
correct.
All right, so with that, we'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Moved and second, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for coming.